Thank you very much for joining us this evening to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in the occupied Jammu and Kashmir. To be the last speaker is always difficult, and particularly so when you've been preceded by a very distinguished group of speakers who have actually covered almost every aspect of what is happening right now in the occupied Kashmir, the history of Kashmir dispute itself, what is being done and what can be done. But I do want to avail of this opportunity to make a couple of points. For me personally, in a way, February 5 here in Washington is an important milestone, because this was the first official event that I did last year after my arrival from Japan as ambassador to the United States. So I do look back at this 1 year and see how things have changed, how Kashmir has changed, how geopolitics has changed in South Asia. And I see, of course, the grave humanitarian crisis triggered by what BJP-led government did in revoking Article 370 and 35A. And something that has actually, I would say, started a train of events. And linked to that is also a silver lining to this entire crisis. Yes, our brothers and sisters are suffering, but they have been suffering for 70 years. Yes, people have been killed. Yes, women have been raped and molested. But that's been going on in Kashmir for decades now. What has actually changed is that Kashmir is once again on the headlines before the world and is an international issue which the international community frankly had forgotten. 2 Security Council debates, although still behind closed doors, the European Parliament's resolution, the OIC following up on that, and then on top of that, here in this country, the US Congress, the US House, in quick succession. I don't know, Dr. Faisal is there, and I think he is someone in this room who knows these issues better than any one of us. But I can't think of, since I've also been working on this relationship now off and on for almost 30 years, I don't recall a time where the US House had 2 back-to-back hearings to focus on the humanitarian crisis in Kashmir. And I'm referring to the special hearing that the South Asia or the Asia subcommittee of the House convened, which was supposed to deal with the broader human rights issues in South Asia, but ended up focusing on Kashmir. And then, of course, the Lantos Commission, which is actually the focal point for human rights in the US Congress. And for that, I give credit to every single one of you, because I spend a lot of time, and there are, as we speak, there are 2 resolutions already tabled in the US House of Representatives. One by Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, and another one is by Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, who is of actually Indian American origin. And there are already 53 co-sponsors to her resolution. Rashida Tlaib's resolution speaks specifically of right of self-determination. At least I can't remember or recall another time when a resolution on, or at least in recent years, when a resolution of the Kashmiri's right of self-determination was moved in the US House of Representatives. So for us here at the embassy, February 5 is not the only day when we celebrate or when we stand in solidarity with the people of Kashmir. Since August 5, for us here at the embassy, every day is a day for us when we express and stand in solidarity with the people of Kashmir. The Prime Minister was here during his visit here, and also in New York. I think the overwhelming part of his activities, of his statements, of his interactions revolved around Kashmir. He was blunt, he was direct in exposing the duplicity, the immorality, and the atrociousness of what India and BJP-led government was doing in India, in Kashmir. And I think the other important thing that again was something that was extraordinary or unusual was for the President of the United States to express his desire to mediate. He had been saying this even during his campaign, but as President of the United States, and I'm sure that is something that most in Pakistan welcome, and in Kashmir also. Whether that particular effort leads to anything is another question, but for the President of the United States to repeatedly express his desire and readiness to mediate on Kashmir is significant, which we welcome and appreciate. And for us, our brief is very, very clear. And it's not a question of opening a cell on Kashmir in the embassy, Dr. Saab. I can tell you that the entire embassy actually is the Kashmir cell. It has been the Kashmir cell. I know there is a lot more that we need to do. And there is a lot of ground, and I always say this, that this is not a 100-meter sprint. This is going to be a marathon. But I can tell you here that in these 6 months, there have been more than 600 stories, very critical of what India is doing in occupied Kashmir. There have been editorials carried by every important newspaper in this country. The Prime Minister's op-ed, Foreign Minister's op-ed, my own op-ed, and numerous interviews. And I'm sure there are others also who've been saying this. And if you follow some of the statements that were made by the congressmen in the House, they spoke about their constituents, how they came to them to explain what their experiences on the ground were. And we know of the grilling that the Indian ambassador had to go through in one of those private settings, where they clearly told him that what you are telling us is completely different from what we are hearing from our constituents, whose families are there in the occupied Kashmir. And I think that's where you come in. We are here to amplify your message. We can work with you, but places that you can go, we cannot go, and you are American citizens. So I do urge you to pick up the phone, pick up your phones, log into your computers and emails, write to your representatives, speak to your congressmen and senators, and every person in this country and in this city who is an influencer or who has some influence in the policy making process. Because this is not going to end. Let me tell you that very clearly. For us, Kashmir is not India's internal matter. For us, Kashmiris are suffering from a grave humanitarian crisis. For us, the tensions generated as a result of Indian unilateral actions have created a serious peace and security threat and challenge in South Asia that needs to be heeded. And I don't know how many of you actually saw the story in The Guardian the other day, which spoke about an impending refugee crisis and how the migration, refugee, asylum applications from India have already doubled or tripled over the last couple of years. This is going to be worse, because when people and their families would be threatened, their future and the future of their kids will be uncertain. They will look for opportunities and possibilities. And those stateless individuals in Assam also today, let me digress a little bit, who would be rendered stateless, they will look for places to go. So we are seeing a lot more crisis and chaos ahead. And for that, international community has to pay heed to what is happening in India, particularly in Kashmir. So with these, I really want to once again request you, because for 37 US congressmen to write to their permanent representative in New York to take up the Kashmir issue is something that happened because of your efforts. I don't want to take credit for that. The hearing itself happened because of the activism of Kashmiri Americans, of Pakistani Americans. And I think somebody was saying that perhaps, there is not enough attention being given to this issue. But yes, because every issue has a shelf life. And when some other development takes place, it is overtaken. So it is really our consistent, sustained efforts that needs to be made to keep this issue alive. Because Kashmiris have, through their resilience, resisted the domination that India has tried to impose. And they persist in claiming what was promised to them by way of their right of self-determination. And government of Pakistan, as you can see, we will continue to lend moral, diplomatic and political support. This embassy and most of our embassies, all of our embassies around the world, and of course under the leadership of the Prime Minister, who has actually expended a lot of personal capital in declaring himself as the ambassador for Kashmir. And I can tell you that he's been a good ambassador of Kashmir. And we look to your support. We look to working with you, with the Kashmiri Americans, with our own compatriots in continuing to flag the plight of the poor Kashmiri brothers who continue to suffer on account of Indian aggression and repression. So I thank you all once again. May God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the event. And let me thank you all for joining us today for the Kashmir cause. The dinner is served. You may please join. Thank you all.